Ladies and gentlemen, very exciting time. Welcome back to the Lights Out podcast. I feel like this is the most excited I've ever been to do an episode, not just because we have our boy Ant back. Welcome back, Ant, but also because boxing has just changed forever with one simple move. Before we get into that, welcome back, Ant. I want to give you your flowers. I want to say we're happy to have you, and I'm very excited to talk boxing and UFC with you today. It's going to be one of the most interesting episodes we possibly could ever do.
Yeah, man. Thank you for all the thoughts. Thank you for all the prayers, man. It means a lot, especially to this small little niche community we have, man. It means a lot to really be getting like all these messages from like all these like from people like even like outside our space. Like obviously our friend, some of our friends, our real life friends, and some other people, man. Like yeah, man. So it means a lot to be back, man. And I appreciate you holding it down for me, of course. Means a lot. Means a lot to the show, of course. So yeah, man, it feels good to be back, man. Really does. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. We're happy to have you back. And it's also my pleasure to hold it down. I love this show. I love what we bring, and I love that we are back in full form with you here. Let's get started. Like I said, the world of boxing has changed forever as the last Infinity Stone to acquire for DAZN has been acquired, right? If we're looking at these major boxing promotions like Infinity Stones and DAZN is Thanos with the gauntlet, then he's got all of them, right? There were two that were missing at the beginning of the year. DAZN had everything except for Top Rank, which was previously on ESPN, which is no longer on ESPN. And then PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, was a part of Showtime. Showtime got out of the boxing business, and PBC found their new home on Amazon Prime. But now, while simultaneously being offered as a pay per view on Amazon Prime, shows from Premier Boxing Champions will now be featured on DAZN at no extra cost. And of course, months ago, Top Rank was acquired by DAZN, which means if there are 5 major promotions, including Ring Magazine, so 6, with Ring Magazine being 1, DAZN has all major boxing promotions. DAZN has Queensberry, DAZN has Matchroom, DAZN has Golden Boy, DAZN has Top Rank, and now DAZN has the PBC. The final piece. Boxing is officially under one roof, and that roof is DAZN. Beautiful, right? I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. I definitely want to hear what you think about this, Ant. I imagine it's only good thoughts with something as amazing like this happening. You know, we think about the history of boxing and how it's always been marginalized. It's always been scattered. There's always been sides of the street that don't get crossed, right? And now you think about the current world of boxing as it stands, and you realize that all of these major promotions answer to one streaming service, and that is DAZN. The boxing fan can pay $50 a month and watch every single boxing show and pay per view that there is to offer. It's a beautiful time that really didn't take long. You think about where we were in January, and you think about where we are now. And it's just very interesting. Boxing is under one roof. I'll say it a million more times, right? I'm so happy. This is what boxing needs. I'm not going to lie, right? We started this podcast in January. We had our reasons to suspect that boxing was making a comeback. We'll get into that shortly. Now we're here, 6 months later. I'm not going to lie, I got a little worried when Turkey Al-Sheikh, the guy who's really putting boxing together, Turkey Al-Sheikh said, I'm only going to be a boxing promoter for a couple more years. He has a disease that will cause him to quote unquote forget his own name, possibly by 2028. That worried me when he said that. Because to me, He's the glue that's holding it all together. And he's probably going to continue doing fantastic work for the next couple of years while he can. But I had the fear of what happens after he's not in boxing anymore. What happens when Turki Al-Sheikh leaves boxing? Do the promoters just go back to their old ways? Does it get segmented again? Does it go back to what it was for a long time, which caused fans like you and me to walk away from the sport? What was going to happen after 2028? That was a big fear to me. But now I see every single major boxing promotion, as well as most of the, if not all of the minor ones, most of the engaging minor promotions, they're all on DAZN. They're all under one roof. You pay one price, you get all of it. That really cemented the fact that, and confirmed the fact that boxing is back, right? To some people, it didn't go anywhere. To me, it definitely went to shit. But now it's coming back. PBC and DAZN have come to a deal, and boxing is officially under one roof. What are your thoughts on this, Ant?
I mean, you just kind of said everything that really I was going to say, man. I mean, for years, boxing was divided, right? I mean, PBC had its own ecosystem. Top Rank had ESPN. Matchroom had DAZN. Golden Boy had DAZN. Queensberry had different broadcast homes. And like you said, the problem with boxing has always been fragmentation, right? So a casual fan shouldn't need a spreadsheet to figure out, okay, where's this fight happening again? And I like that DAZN is bringing the PBC into the fold because it makes the sport easier to follow. And the reason this matters is because this makes DAZN probably, like you said, like the home of boxing, really. Because I mean, you have like we mentioned, PBC, Matchroom, Golden Boy, Top Rank, Queensberry. This is insane compared to where we were back in January, and also where DAZN started. Like they only had a couple promotions to their name. Now they pretty much have all the big ones.
They do have all the big ones. There's nobody they're missing in terms of
There's
major
nobody really.
platforms.
Yeah, they have all of them. Honestly, yeah, they have every single big one. The real question is does having all these promotions under one platform actually create better fights? Because boxing's biggest problem isn't always distribution; it's promoters protecting the fighters. And we can have every fighter on the same streaming service, but if everyone refuses to fight each other, then what happens? Nothing changes. And the fans don't just want more cards. We want our Crawford and Canelo fights. We want Tank and Shakur. We want our super fights, right? I mean, we want the fights that really matter. So, yeah, it's kind of my overall thoughts on the whole PBC thing. I think this is, or the whole DAZN thing. I think this is really interesting. And I mean, like, we are a little. We're like we said, we're worried about Turki Al-Sheikh, right? I mean, hopefully he recovers. Hopefully, like this disease doesn't take him. I mean, he like you said, he's the glue that kind of like really held everything together in terms of boxing. So I mean, I'm hoping that when the time comes 2 years from now, we're not going to be looking at it like, oh man, like now what?
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring up this concern, because to me, I think it's great news that boxing is under one streaming service. Absolutely, that is huge. But even with that advantage, even with the fact that boxing now stands together, they can't mess around. They can't get complacent. Boxing has competition. The current guard of boxing, the current ecosystem of boxing is officially unified together under DAZN. However, if they begin to slack even one bit, they have Dana White's Zuffa boxing breathing down their neck. The battle lines have been drawn. You're either with the current world of boxing or you're with Zuffa boxing. And yes, those events that happen on Netflix, those Canelo Crawford events, the Tyson Fury return, they may not call those events Zuffa boxing, but those are put on by Dana White. Yes, he cooperates with Turki Al-Sheikh and Ring Magazine on Netflix. But let's call a spade a spade. Those Netflix events, the Canelo Crawfords, those are Zuffa boxing shows. So now we do not have the 4 or 5 homes of boxing like we were just saying a couple of short months ago. We have DAZN and we have Zuffa boxing. And Zuffa boxing is purely streaming. It's on Paramount once a month and it's on Netflix a couple of times a year. We are eating good, ladies and gentlemen. The current world of boxing cannot revert back to its old ways because the competition that Dana White brings will not let them. In just a few short months, in less than 6 months, the first Zuffa show was in late January. We are in mid-July at the time of this recording. In less than 6 months, the world of boxing has reacted to the entrance of Dana White, or should I say the reemergence of Dana White. And they have put themselves under one umbrella. And now they have set themselves up for success to compete and entertain accordingly. Zuffa boxing did not stay quiet when this took place. Okay? Boxing fans were elated to hear that DAZN is the true one home of the current ecosystem of boxing. And what did Zuffa boxing do hours after this big announcement and this big online celebration with boxing fans? They announced their biggest signing. Top 3 pound for pound fighter, Shakur Stevenson. This is an announcement that we've been waiting for a matter of months. And finally, it is official. We can finally talk about it on this show. Shakur Stevenson signs with Zuffa boxing. This is something I've been waiting to talk about on the show because this is huge. This Shakur Stevenson signing says we are here to stay. And if Shakur goes over, I think it's possible that anybody goes over. I don't even know how to continue. I'm so excited, right? I really don't have a dog in the fight. I love the sport of boxing. What I do know from being a pro wrestling fan is competition breeds excellence. Zuffa has competition. Zuffa's competition is the whole current ecosystem of boxing, and the whole current ecosystem of boxing has Zuffa boxing as its competition. These guys are going to go tit for tat. These guys are going to treat this thing like a boat show. Who has the bigger boat? Who has the better boat? You know, it's going to result in us, the fans, the boxing fans, the fight fans, having the best possible experience that we can with the sport in terms of viewing the sport. And that's all I care about. I want to see the best fights happen. And if Zuffa doesn't do that, or the current guard of boxing under DAZN doesn't do that, then the other one's going to have an opportunity to do that and win fans over. Right? Like, there's no need to get tribalistic the way that wrestling fans do. What we should do as fans is enjoy all of it. Nonetheless, man, what are your thoughts on Shakur Stevenson signing with Zuffa? Very exciting. It doesn't seem like he wants to face Jose Valenzuela. Doesn't seem like he wants to face Ricardo Salas, you know, like some of these guys that are now considered Zuffa guys 6 months into the year, 7 months into the year. He wants to fight Devin Haney and Tank Davis. And I imagine either of those fights happening on Netflix, having the aura and the intrigue that Canelo and Crawford had just last year, which Canelo and Crawford was one of the most important, fun, and memorable fights. It wasn't even that good of a fight. The fight itself wasn't even that good. It was just the fact that these two guys actually got in the ring and fought each other that made it so memorable. I mean, what are your thoughts here, man?
I mean, like you said, Haney versus Shakur would be incredible, right? I mean, that'd be a fun fight. It would be on the levels of Mayweather, Pacquiao, Canelo, Crawford. Like that's obviously what he wants. And this is, I think the best way I can put this signing is I'm going to shout out all the football. I know the Americans call it soccer, but call it football. This is like when Lionel Messi signed for Paris Saint-Germain. This signing is like out of nowhere. I don't think anybody could have, like, well, maybe us, maybe we saw this coming, but like this is one of those signings where it's like, wow, Dana White really landed one of the biggest signings, one of the biggest free agents in boxing history, and it's kind of like how Paris Saint Germain did with Lionel Messi. Like this is a signing that makes people stop laughing at Zuffa boxing, because before this, people viewed Zuffa as Dana White trying to enter boxing, right? And now they have a legitimate pound for pound talent. And Shakur is exactly the type of fighter they needed. He's young, undefeated, champion, outspoken, and technically elite. So this gives Zuffa credibility. And the big question is, can Zuffa do what the UFC did? The UFC formula obviously builds stars, controls the matchmaking, creates the rivalries, and makes fans care about the promotion. And boxing obviously has historically struggled with that. But obviously, if the Haney and Shakur fight happens, I think all those questions will definitely be answered.
Here's the thing. I don't think the current guard of boxing has to change at all. If we want to see big fights, if we want to see David Benavidez take on Jai Opataya, the Zuffa cruiserweight champion, then that can happen on Netflix. The way I see it, Zuffa boxing happens on Paramount Plus. The current guard of boxing happens on DAZN, and the big crossover fights happen on Netflix, right? And I think, I think Turkey Al Sheikh clears the way for these types of fights to happen. Yeah, if you signed a Zuffa, you're going to fight Zuffa guys. And I think the credibility of Zuffa boxing's roster is only going to grow. These guys have only been around for 6 months, 6 complete months.
Yeah.
And they've also proven last year with Canelo and Crawford that they know how to put together a big fight that stands with the current world of boxing, not the Zuffa world of boxing, but the current world of boxing. So, yeah, I think anything is possible. I don't think guys like Devin Haney have to sign to Zuffa in order for the Shakur and Haney fight to happen. I don't think Tank Davis has to sign with Zuffa in order for the Shakur and Tank fight to happen.
Not Ryan.
I think it's possible.
I don't think any of these guys have to sign with the Zuffa. I mean, obviously, I don't think Ryan Garcia needs to do it. Not Lopez, not Haney. I mean, not Tank. Like you said, man. I don't think any of these really need to sign for Zuffa. I think we're in good hands. I think. I don't know. I'll let you kind of finish it off. I mean, I just wanted to kind of just casually mention that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys do sign with Zuffa. I think Ryan will stay loyal to De La Hoya and Golden Boy unless that money talks. Like, I think it'll be hard to get Ryan Garcia over. The thing about Ryan Garcia is Turkey Al Sheikh has paid him, so Turkey Al Sheikh can book him wherever the heck he wants. Now, I don't think Turkey Al Sheikh is going to book him on a Zuffa card. I think he would book him on a Netflix card, which is a little bit more feasible for Golden Boy and the current world of boxing. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say here is there are two forces. There's Dana White, and then there's everybody else. Everybody else is on DAZN. Dana White runs Zuffa and Netflix shows, of course. Just because there are two sides of the street still doesn't mean that these fights aren't going to happen. These fights are going to happen. I think Benavidez versus Opataya is going to be one of the first big crossover fights. I think it'll happen next year. Whether it's early next year or late next year, we'll find out. And I hope I'm right, because I really do want to see that fight. That is the fight to make to me right now. Benavidez versus Opataya, right? We're going to see Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, which is a crossover fight. This is crossing over between Ryan Garcia, who's Golden Boy, and Conor Benn, who's now Zuffa. We're going to see that on September 12th. It hasn't officially been announced yet. That's why we haven't talked about it. But of course, it's kind of all but confirmed at this point in mid-July. Very exciting stuff here, man. We're not done, though, because this morning we actually got another Zuffa signing. If you're all good with, are you done talking Shakur? Are we good to move on?
Oh yeah, dude, we're good. I mean,
okay, I just wanted to make sure.
There's besides the Messi and Paris Saint-Germain comparison, there's really nothing else I could really compare this to. I mean, I think we kind of said everything that needs to be said about Shakur. I mean, it's time to move on to the new guy.
Yeah, man, that wasn't it for Zuffa. Now, this next signing, they announced it just hours ago at the time of this recording, but Johnny Fisher is officially with Zuffa Boxing, and he is set to headline Zuffa Boxing 11, which will take place on September 26th out of London. He's a young fighter. He's a young heavyweight fighter. London is kind of his home crowd, and he's got a lot of growing to do, and I'm sure he'll do that with Zuffa. He's definitely an exciting British fighter, and I'm excited to see him in Zuffa. Maybe not quite as excited as I was for the Shakur announcement, but nonetheless, man, it's cool to see where we're going next after Zuffa Boxing 10. And I feel like we've talked about these upcoming cards quite a bit, so I'll just leave it at that. There was one signing that actually flew under the radar during all this crazy stuff last week, and that was actually Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz Jr., a fighter that has caught the attention of the most casual and diehard fans of boxing, is officially signing with Matchroom. Now, here's the thing, right? You got the big Shakur signing with Zuffa. You got this signing, which is to Matchroom. It doesn't matter, right? If he's with Matchroom, he can fight somebody in the PBC. He can fight somebody in Top Rank. He could fight somebody in Golden Boy. He could fight somebody in Queensberry. It doesn't freaking matter. The world of boxing is changing. It doesn't matter who you sign with. You know, if Shakur signed with Matchroom again, I would say, oh, good for Shakur. He's still got a lot of stuff to do over there in the current world of boxing. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm just saying, we may get excited about these signings. It doesn't matter anymore. Any fight can happen. Even if you're a guy that signed a Zuffa that's too big for Zuffa, like Shakur, like Conor Benn. Ryan Garcia is not formally signed to Zuffa, but if it was Ryan Garcia, it doesn't matter. Because these guys, even if they're signed to Zuffa, can get whatever fight they want. I do think we're going to see Shakur versus Haney. It's a matter of when. And I do think we're going to see Shakur versus Tank. It's a matter of when. Very exciting stuff here, man. We got Shakur and Zuffa. We got the young Johnny Fisher and Zuffa. And we have Andy. Well, he's not that young. But anywho, we got Andy Ruiz Jr. with Matchroom. What are your thoughts on Andy Ruiz Jr. joining Matchroom?
Well, I actually wanted to get to Johnny Fisher first. So if you don't mind, I'll kind of work my way up. So again, I'm going to do another football or soccer comparison, if you don't mind. So let's be honest, man. Johnny Fisher is not Zuffa Boxing signing their Erling Haaland, right? That's obviously Shakur Stevenson. Johnny Fisher is them signing somebody like Jack Grealish before the big move, right? Somebody who brings identity, personality, and a fan base. And in boxing, stars aren't just created by titles. They're created by people caring. And obviously, Zuffa betting on Fisher to become that guy, which I think he could. I mean, he's a really good boxer. He's really underrated. I mean, I've only seen a couple fights from him, but I think he will be really good. I think he has something to prove in Zuffa. And as for Andy Ruiz, it's Andy Ruiz signing for Matchroom is like, I'm going to do an NFL comparison and a football comparison, is like the Cardinals signing J.J. Watt, right? You're not expecting the exact same guy who dominated the league years ago. You're betting on the greatness that is still somewhere in there. And Matchroom isn't signing Andy Ruiz because he's the best heavyweight alive right now. They're signing him because they know what happens when the right Andrew Ruiz shows up, and he can shock the world. And it's kind of like how Ronaldo came back to Manchester United in 2021. Like that's probably the best way I can put it. I mean, and to really like hammer home my point, the big difference between Shakur signing with Zufa and Ruiz signing with Matchroom is Shakur equals signing the franchise player of the future. Johnny Fisher is definitely signing the fan favorite who sells the tickets, and Andrew Ruiz is definitely the signing the former I guess Champions League winner and former like star of the team. Like again, going back to Ronaldo and Manchester United in 2021. I don't know. Did that analysis make any sense?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. In fact, it kind of inspires me to clear up what I was trying to say with the whole "it doesn't matter" type thing. Because at the end of the day, yeah, signing with Zufa is a big deal, right? In terms of it's kind of a risk at this point in time. It's kind of it leads to a lot of questions, right? A lot of people are wondering if Shakur's next fight is going to be on Paramount Plus, on Zufa Boxing, or Netflix. So, because both are possible, really. But when it comes to Andy Ruiz, it doesn't matter because it just means that we get to see him get back in the ring. And obviously, he is one of the coolest stories in boxing, right? A lot of people are who aren't even boxing fans are fans of Andy Ruiz because how can you not root for a guy like that? So to me, yes, he signs with Matchroom. It doesn't matter because the most important thing is we're going to see more of him. And it feels like for a while that wasn't going to be the case. If I'm being honest, I was it official that he was contemplating retirement? No, it wasn't at all. That's not like what I'm trying to say. What I'm ultimately trying to say is we haven't heard from him in a while. I enjoy watching him fight, and his signing with Matchroom means we will get another Andy Ruiz fight. Yeah. One more announcement here, and then we'll go ahead and get into UFC. Smaller announcement compared to all these crazy announcements that we just threw at you for the first 30 minutes of this episode. But we have Dalton Smith and Albert Puello, a top 5 junior welterweight matchup, being postponed to the 24th of October. And this bout will, of course, be for the WBC junior welterweight title. This is a fight that got rescheduled. It will take place in October. And yeah, there's really nothing more to say about it. We're going to get this fight. We're just going to get it a little later. And I think we can move on if you're good with that. We could talk some UFC 329.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I'll do one more comparison if you don't mind. I'm sorry. I just enjoy doing these comparisons, bro. Like especially with somebody like Andy Ruiz. This is like Gareth Bale returning to Tottenham in 2020, right? I mean, Gareth Bale, I like, and I don't want to. I'm gonna compare the two. All right, so Gareth Bale, obviously, he already reached superstar status, right? He was no longer at Real Madrid's peak level, and Spurs obviously believed they can unlock him again. And this is obviously what Matchroom's trying to do with Ruiz, right? Ruiz already reached the top of boxing, beat Anthony Joshua, became the first Mexican heavyweight champ, I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. First heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
First Mexican heavyweight champion. Lost one. He obviously beat Anthony Joshua. Lost momentum afterwards, and now again, Matchroom believes that they can bring back the Destroyer. So I mean, it's a real interesting like move here, and obviously, the business side is Matchroom is basically saying that we know how to market Andy Ruiz, and that's very important because Ruiz is not just a boxer; he's obviously Mexican American icon, former champion, and the guy who created one of the biggest boxing upsets in boxing history. And Matchroom already knows how to sell that story because they were there for the Joshua upset. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens with Andrew Ruiz and Matchroom. I think obviously, like you said, how can you not be a fan of Andrew Ruiz, right? I mean, he's such a likable guy. I mean,
It doesn't matter who's paying him as long as he's staying in the game. I'm very
yeah,
happy.
like,
And if he really did want to fight someone from Zufa like F.A. Ahagba, they could do that on Netflix. In fact, I could see that fight happening on Netflix if they really wanted to. Not
Yeah.
saying it's going to happen soon. I'm just saying, like, it's limitless, man. The only, in my mind, the only reason people like Opataya, Shakur, and Richardson Hitchens sign with Zuffa is because they're tired of playing the traditional game of boxing where they fight nobodies and grow old. Right? That was the
Yeah.
traditional game of boxing for a very long time, up until very recently. And I can understand, like a guy like Jai Opataya, the inaugural Zuffa champion at cruiserweight, has said, he said this. He said, like, they're not giving me the fights that I want to do. They're not setting me up for success. I'm just a pawn in their game. So why should I care about staying? I could see Shakur having similar thoughts. I could see Connor Benn having similar thoughts, right? A lot of these bigger names that signed to Zuffa so quickly. You don't have, like Zuffa is, they want what's best for their fighters. I'm sure every promotion does. They're just willing to evolve the tradition and style of matchmaking. And we've seen that on the Zuffa boxing shows since the beginning. We've seen them put together maybe not the most competitive fights. Like, let's be honest, they've only had 2 competitive fights. Both of them were at cruiserweight in terms of world class competition. But we just because we go into a 3-fight card where every single fighter is unranked doesn't mean we're not going to get some scraps over at Zuffa. If it was any other promotion, I don't think they'd be able to put together such entertainment with such middle class fighters. Anywho,
Yeah.
it's time for some UFC.
Let's do it.
I think we did it justice. The battle lines are drawn. You're either working for Zuffa or you're working against Zuffa, right? You're either with the current world of boxing under DAZN or you're with the new guys. You're with Zuffa. And I don't think one will replace the other. I think they will learn to coexist and make money together. They just have to stop being so proud, both of them. All right, let's go over to UFC. We had UFC 329. It was the first numbered UFC event outside of the White House card. Of course, the UFC White House card was once in a lifetime. The UFC White House card will be remembered very highly by us fight fans, right? Not even talking about it politically, just talking about it from a fight standpoint. Every fight had a finish. Every fight was very entertaining. And it really did generate some momentum that we haven't seen UFC have in a couple of years, in my humble opinion. And
Yeah.
that,
And you forgot to mention, sorry to interrupt, bro.
go ahead, go ahead.
Forgot to mention, man, obviously you got 2 new champions out of it too, man. Obviously we saw what Justin Gaethje did to Taporia, and probably one of the craziest upsets we'll ever see. And then obviously Cyril Gahn just demolishing Alex Pereira, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 must-watch fights. And before that, we even had a Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. And then we also had Sean O'Malley, who is a fan favorite American fighter, of course, one of many. And all this momentum took us into UFC 329 as the next big event. And we're going to address the elephant in the room right away. It took us into this main event of UFC 329, which was Max Holloway taking on the returning Conor McGregor. This was Conor McGregor's first fight in just over 5 years. Just over 5 years. Half a decade. And here he is. And he's gone. And he's gone. Goodness gracious, you have generational momentum after the White House card. Even the most left of leftists would agree that those were some good fights, right? Not even talking politics, and I'm sorry to even bring it up. But objectively, from a sport standpoint, the White House card did wonders for UFC. It was a very entertaining and historic event, referring to the fights, of course. And you get all this momentum. You take it into Conor McGregor's return. It's the first time he's in an octagon in half a decade. And he seemingly tears his ACL within the first 3 fucking seconds of the fight. I'm glad we did this show today because I wouldn't have been able to talk about this stuff yesterday. 2 days ago on Saturday night, I laid down on my pillow, right? Put my head on my pillow and was ready to go to sleep. And do you know what I was freaking thinking about? You know what my final thoughts were on Saturday, July 11th? My final thoughts of the day were, quote unquote, what the fuck was that main event? How do you fumble the momentum of a promotion that has monopolized an entire sport? I'm not complaining about the UFC monopolizing MMA, by the way. I do like the convenience of UFC being the home of MMA. Not even complaining about that. I'm just saying, how do you have so much momentum for one promotion, one sport, build it up and stick the landing with a White House card that was seemingly stressful and impossible to pull off, not only in terms of operations, but in terms of every single fight, hitting. So much momentum has been acquired by the UFC. I think this entire calendar year. I think the only bad main event, besides, of course, this one, was Oliveira versus Holloway, but that was a little bit more of a preference. That's not even that big of a deal. This is catastrophic. The UFC has had a once in a lifetime energy. This momentum is unforeseen to the UFC coming out of the White House card. And they just go and take a big, steamy dump in the octagon. Oh, let's hear it, and I just can't because I will keep complaining. I will continue to complain here.
All right, let's time to rant, right? Let's have some fun here. Okay, I understand injuries happen, right? I understand this is a violent sport, and I understand nobody walks into the octagon expecting to get hurt, obviously, right? So let me make that abundantly clear. I'm not blaming Connor for getting injured. I'm not blaming McGregor at all for getting injured. But we have to talk.
I am. Who the hell doesn't plant his foot on a kick like that 3 seconds into the fight?
Well, okay. Let me say. All right. Let me just let me say this, man. I'm spinning all over the place. Um. Okay. I said this before, and I was telling my family this. I was actually telling my dad this, especially when he threw that fucking kick, right? Brother, you're not 25 anymore, guy. You're 37. Can't do that anymore, man. Like, this isn't 2016 Connor, dude. Like, it's not the Connor that knocked out Jose out, or the Connor that destroyed Eddie Alvarez. Not the McGregor we saw that whooped the King of Rio, fucking Jose Aldo, in 13 seconds. Let's talk about this. We have to talk about what the fans were sold on. For years, we heard about the return of Conor McGregor. We heard about the comeback. We heard about the redemption story. Heard that the old Conor was coming back, right? The guy who knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, like I mentioned earlier. The guy who became the biggest star the UFC has probably ever produced and probably will ever see. No shade at Anderson Silva, no shade at John Jones, and no shade at GSP. And then the fight happens. And before we even get a chance to see if that guy is still there, boom, over. Frustrating. Because this wasn't a
Frustrating.
fight. This was supposed to answer all the questions. Like, obviously going in, like, could Connor still compete at the highest level, especially against a legend like Max Holloway? Was the timing still there? Was the speed still there? Did all the years away matter? Did him losing to Poirier dampen his spirits? And obviously we got nothing. And that's the biggest disappointment the because the biggest opponent Conor McGregor has been fighting hasn't been Max Holloway.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been Dustin Poirier. Hasn't been anyone across the octagon. It's Father Time, dude. Like I said, Father Time is undefeated, and I had the same thought as you did when I was like when the fight ended. I dragged my family who maybe catch maybe one card a year, or maybe like one or two cards, besides my dad, who watches every single UFC pay-per-view with me. The rest of my family are extremely casual. I told them we got to watch this fight. McGregor's coming back. Fight happens, and then it's over. And then the look I got from the room, oh my god! Everybody thought I was the biggest idiot for watching MMA, man. Like, I've never been this disappointed since, obviously, Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gahn, and even going backwards, obviously, for the hardcore fans, obviously Silva and Damian Maya. Like, oh my god, this was just awful, bro. Like, this was, oh, it pisses me off, bro. Like, it's, and like you said, it's one of those, like, what the fuck, right? Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Hey,
Yeah, dude, it's I love you telling that story because I actually had my girl watch UFC with me when the fight was on. I was like, "You got to watch the return of Conor McGregor. This is big. Watch it with me." And she said, "Yeah, I'll watch it with you." And yeah, same thing. She was like, "Wow, all that anticipation, 5 years. You've been excited for this all week, and that's what happens."
brother,
Fucking
his walkout was longer than the fight.
dude, I have had intrusive thoughts that were longer than that fight. And I'm a pretty healthy person. Like I'm all right. Um it's fucking A. I will say, at least my girl likes Patty Pimblett. We did watch that co-main. The shitty thing is, man, the rest of the main card, the rest of the entire card was fantastic. This is one of the best
Yes,
undercards that UFC has put on in a while.
yes, and
Every fight.
yes, and you know what's funny, bro, is that my grandpa was watching the fight with me, right? And he even said, like, the undercard and the co-main was amazing. So, like, what, like, that's what sucks about this card, is that, like, the undercard was incredible, but the main event, oh boy, was it awful.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Um Anywho, Max Holloway and Conor McGregor are 1-1. Listen, I
We didn't
would
even
like to
count
see them
that as
get
a
that
win.
third fight.
I
I
don't count
would
that,
like
bro. I love Max, right? I love Max, and I honestly respect what he did, right? Obviously, you don't go after your injured opponent, right? But do you count this as a win technically? I mean, you didn't really do much.
technically, yes. Truly, no.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I'm trying to see this fight for real. You know, this and another fight that you just brought up are two fights that I think should put the UFC back in the sphere. Now, I know Dana White has said he doesn't want to do another show at the sphere. I think that if you were to put Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn as the main event and have Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor as the co-main event, two fights that UFC, I'm going to say it, edged us with, I think they could sell out the sphere again. I think I'm not clamoring for UFC to return to the sphere in any other situation but having McGregor and Holloway as the co-main and having Gahn and Aspinall as the main event. And maybe we'll get one of those two fights if we're lucky. Both of them happening on the same card.
I mean, if the rumors are true that Connor's supposed to be coming back in April, then I mean, it depends on the severity of the injury, right? We still don't know, like, what the injury was, and it's odd to me that Connor basically just, he tweeted out, what was it, a few hours or a day after the card, right? Like, that he was, like, fine going in. He was basically denying the injury. So who do you believe at this point? And
I'm not even getting into the speculation. I would not
I'm not
put
getting
it
it,
past
but
those
I just
TKO scumbags to send an injured Conor McGregor into the octagon knowing that they were going to stop the fight. I
I don't
would
think.
not freaking put it past them.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, repeat that, because I was gonna say that I don't think Connor's coming back by April. There's no way, no way in hell. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it would be in the second half of 2027 at the earliest, maybe even early 2028.
He's not coming back, bro. I think that if this proves anything, that he needs to hang it up, especially, like, because I mean, I texted you this beforehand, right? That, like, I did my own little deep dive, like, where I said that Obviously, Conor was coming in with 2 losses, and his last win hasn't been in 5 years. He lost, or 6 years, because
Longer. Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
what 7 years? Because he fought Cowboy, and he beat him. But the problem was he beat an aging Cowboy Cerrone, dude. Like that's the problem.
Yeah,
Like
man. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back.
he's not coming
I
back.
want to see McGregor versus Holloway because that's a fun fight. After that, I could care less. Bye. I just want to see it.
Me
You
too.
know, they you know how frustrating it is to wait and wait and wait? Like I understand Conor McGregor is a scumbag. I understand that. I like to see him fight. He was a fighter that kept me interested in the UFC when that era of UFC was coming to an end. When we were losing a lot of the guys we grew up watching, you and I. Conor
Yeah,
McGregor was like, "Hey, look, this shit is still exciting. Check me out." Right? And like I will there will never be a day where I'm not somewhat excited to see Conor McGregor fight. So to have that excitement for the first time in several years at a different phase of life completely. The last time I saw Conor McGregor fight, I was at a college party, and now I'm almost 30 and I'm a high school teacher. Like I hadn't felt that excitement for a McGregor fight in a long time. And I just feel robbed, honestly, at the end of it. Now, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not speculating. I'm just saying that's how I feel as a fan. And it's not
yeah.
cool. And it's
Here's
especially devastating after the momentum of the White House card has just taken place.
yeah because and I said this before. I said that like obviously again politics aside, like this card had a lot to live up to. Obviously going into this event, like because you had such an incredible card at the White House, right? I mean, so this was going to be probably impossible to follow up. But I mean, obviously Connor said, "Hold my whiskey," and then look how that turned out. And here's the thing, and this is a take that I've kind of run with for like the last couple of years. I feel like ever since Connor lost to Habib at UFC 229, his soul is gone, bro. His heart and his soul for the love of fighting is gone.
Yeah. Anywho, let's move on. Max Holloway gets the win. All right. Does he or does he not? I don't even know.
I don't know at this
And
point, but
this undercard was fantastic before we go ahead and try to get you guys on out of here, right? We did see Patty the Batty defeat Benoit Saint Denis with one of the coolest submission victories, if not the coolest submission victory I've ever seen. I mean, he rolled his ass like he was a gator. Like for real. That submission was crazy. Locked it in early, finished the fight quickly. Patty the Batty still at him at 100%. Yes, he did take the L to Justin Gaethje, who is who has the more momentum than anybody right now, really. Patty had a good showing. I think Patty needs to get that second fight with Gaethje. Whether they both fight someone else before that, that would be fine. Whether they go right into it, that obviously I would prefer that. This was one of the coolest submissions I've ever seen. And then just running down this fantastic undercard, we were able to see Mario Batista defeat Corey Sandhagen, top 7 bantamweight matchup. This is the only fight on the made card that actually went the distance. Batista got the decision, right? Second fight of the main card, we were able to see a top 6 flyweight matchup as Brandon Royval defeated Kavanaugh by submission. And then we got a completely unrigged fight as the first fight on the main card as King Green got the TKO against Terrence McKinney. All fantastic fights. Who stood out to you the most on what was a splendid undercard, as splendid as an undercard could be?
I mean, I think you probably know the obvious answer. Patty Pimblett, dude. Like, I mean, obviously, no, and I'll say Roy Val and King Green also stood out to me as well. But I'm just gonna be honest, dude. Patty Pimblett, oh Patty the Batty, dude. Let's be honest, bro. Like that was awesome. That was one, like you said, that was probably one of the coolest submissions we've ever seen. I think, like, and obviously, my opinion, the coolest one I've seen, and obviously I've gone back and traced my history. Obviously, the coolest submission I've seen is probably Korean Zombie's Twister, right? Obviously, we've never seen that before prior to that. But dude, like this was really cool from Patty Pimble. Like I probably ranked this above Korean Zombie's Twister because this was like the way he rolled and he transitioned into into that hold is honestly insane. Like I've never seen anybody do that before. I don't think I've like, and I have buddies that grapple and like do all this. I've never seen them do shit like that before.
Dude,
Like
I don't think we're gonna.
what?
That is my favorite submission right there. I don't think we're gonna see anything like it ever
No, hell
again.
no, no, and I'm gonna and no, we're never gonna see anything like that ever again. And this was Patty's biggest statement performance because Benoit Saint Denis is known as a dangerous, aggressive fighter, and Patty completely just shut him down completely. And this submission showed creativity and confidence, dude. Like that was incredible. And obviously, I gotta criticize the opponent, man. Well, actually, I'm gonna do something different here. I'm gonna explain why Patty won. All right, let's start with the first point. He didn't panic when Saint Denis brought the pressure. Stayed calm in chaos, which is becoming one of his biggest improvements, and his confidence is becoming a huge weapon. And now I turn to Benoit Saint Denis. Terrible mistake from a fighter who normally thrives in violence. Why do you go for a takedown that quickly? That was really the first thing I asked myself. Why do you rush yourself into danger without respecting Patty's submission ability? And and Saint Denis' aggression is definitely his greatest strength. Let's not lie to ourselves. But against high level grapplers, it probably is his greatest weakness. And the one that definitely stood out to me, he needs better patience, man. You cannot just overwhelm everyone with pressure. That's not how the fight game works. You need to remain calm. And dude, just Patty was just incredible. And Benoit Saint Denis, man, oof, yeah. But Patty's definitely becoming a legitimate contender and not just a personality. And like we said, if he does rematch Justin Gaethje, hey, why not?
I think he wins. I really do.
Oh,
I
dude.
think he wins.
Yeah, me too.
Anywho, I will say, man, before we move on, King Green is somebody I want to shout out because King Green is becoming one of my favorite fighters right now. King Green has entertained us more than once in the year of 2026 and several times before, of course. And I really do look forward to King Green's next fight because he has been explosive. He reminds me of like a 2008, 2009 UFC fighter. King Green does, right? But of course, yeah, before we move on, shout out to Roy Val, who's a cool dude. And then shout out to Mario Batista, who's definitely been doing his thing in 2026.
And it's
Oh,
funny you mentioned King Green, right? Because I mean, obviously, King Green's been fighting since 2013. He's been in the with the promotion for since like the 2010. So he's one of my personal favorite fighters. I mean,
I,
he's all
I just think he's entered like a rare form this year.
yeah, and it's rare you see that from fighters, man. Like obviously, we talked about like I'm gonna just bring up McGregor again. Obviously, Mystic Mac, but and we seen guys like the El Matador, Elite Porter reaches prime form, and now Bobby King Green is in his form, which is extremely rare from fighters. And obviously, we talk about the prime guys like Silva, GSP, and all them. Dude, King Green is a monster, dude, absolute monster, and it's fun. It was a fun fight to watch, and this is one of those things. This is one of those fights where I can show somebody this and be like, "Hey, check this out," and I'm pretty sure they'll probably be a UFC fan for life.
Yeah,
But
for sure, man. Like Terrence McKinney is no joke, and this matchmaking was incredible. I was
oh yeah,
very happy with this fight.
but all respects to Bobby Green, King Green, man, and obviously shout out to Roy Val as well, man. These guys were two of the biggest winners besides obviously Patty Pimblett.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and yeah, again, but Mario Batista has been doing his thing this year.
Yeah,
He's
Mario
been killing
Batista's
it.
good too. I didn't think Sandhagen would well obviously I know Mario Batista's a problem, right? I mean obviously defeating the aging Jose Aldo. Granted, maybe Aldo shouldn't have been in there with him, but that's a discussion for another day. But obviously Corey Sandhagen, like looking at him, I thought he was gonna maybe try to outstrike him, but nope. Mario Batista had other plans, which is really interesting.
I look forward to seeing all these guys, man.
I know.
Every like all the winners of this card and then some. Like this was a sick card. It was a shame that the main event went the way it was, but this main card, this UFC 329 was fun. Other than its one blemish, its one elephant. Everything else was incredible.
Yeah.
Let's get into what we're going to talk about next, right? On the next episode, we will have these results done and we will be ready to talk about the entirety of the July matchups of the month that we have yet to get to, that has yet to transpire. The next fight happens on the 20th. It's Kenshiro Tarahi taking on Israel Gonzalez for the vacant WBO junior bantamweight title. And then, of course, on the 24th, we've recently found out that Tyson Fury will be fighting Marius Watch in the Philippines. So those are two fights on the matchups list, and the rest of those fights are actually tied to bigger shows that you should be watching in their entirety. We'll start with, of course, the comeback, Anthony Joshua versus Christian Perenga. And we just found out what that undercard will be hours ago. The undercard will officially feature in the co-main Hamza Shiraz taking on Simon Zackenhuber for the WBO super middleweight title. This is Hamza Shiraz's first defense of that WBO super middleweight title. Josh Kelly versus Kalmhim Adyarko. This will be Josh Kelly's first defense of the IBF junior middleweight title. And then the opening bout will be Rito Susumi versus Alvino Herrera at 129 pounds. Susumi being a bit of a boxing prodigy right now, somebody that many believe has a bright future in the sport. So we have 4 awesome fights. 2 of the 4 will be first-time title defenses. The opening fight is a prodigy fight. And of course, the big fight, the main event, is the return of Anthony Joshua against a fairly worthy opponent. What are your thoughts on this, man? What are your thoughts on this card, and are you excited for this?
Can I talk about the Fury one real quick? Because there's
of course, yeah. You don't have to ask, yeah.
Bit of a correction. There's actually no streaming service or no. There's not going to be any footage we're going to see from this fight. This is like the only way you're going to be able to see this fight is it in the audience. This is not going to be like live. No pay-per-view is available for this fight.
That's what I figured was going to happen, and that's fine. I'm not really dying to see this Tyson Fury fight.
Not really,
but this Anthony Joshua fight is something that I'm excited to see. I am a fan of AJ. I know a lot of people hate on AJ. AJ is a solid fighter and somebody I'm excited to see tune up against Christian Perenga before we get to, of course, the big Fury versus AJ super fight.
Yeah, and obviously AJ's been in some of the biggest fights possible. Obviously, he's fought Klitschko, he's fought Ruiz, Usyk, and Ngannou, and now this is basically this is about proving that he still belongs near the top. The biggest question is not can Joshua beat Perenga. It's what version of Tyson Fury or fucking Tyson Fury? What version of Anthony Joshua are we getting? I don't know why the hell I said Tyson Fury. Slip up. Obviously, the keys to victory I have is obviously establish the jab immediately. Joshua's jab has always been his best weapon. When he uses it, obviously he controls the distance, sets up the right hand, and prevents opponents from getting comfortable. Please do not overthink it. I'm literally begging you, AJ, do not overthink this fight. Because the biggest criticism I've seen of Joshua, especially after the Ruiz loss, he became too cautious. He needs to be confident. This is not the fight not a fight to reinvent himself. And finally attack the body. Obviously, Joshua has been very underrated at body punches, and against a fighter like Perenga, like breaking him down early is extremely important. And obviously, what I'm looking for is Joshua going to be aggressive? Because the old AJ exploded forward through combinations, looked dangerous, and this newer AJ thinks a little bit more and honestly he boxes way more safer. So neither's necessarily bad, but he needs to really find the right balance. But
I agree.
I'm
And
looking forward for AJ.
he needs to find the balance before he gets to Fury, who
Yeah,
still admittedly looks solid, which is crazy to say, in my opinion. It's crazy. Anywho, this same day, you will be able, so you'll get this fight during the day if you're an American fan. Of course, it's taking place in Saudi Arabia. So you'll get this fight during the day. And then that same evening, you'll actually have the next offering of Premier Boxing Champions of the PBC, which is an interesting 3-fight main card that consists of USA versus Australia. The main event will be Errol Spence Jr. versus Tim Tszyu. The co-main will be Jermall Charlo versus Cohen Mazodier. And then the opening bout will be Stephen Fulton versus Liam Wilson. Each fight is United States versus Australia. Very fun card here put on by the PBC. Will be available to order on Amazon Prime, but will also now be officially available on DAZN. If you have that DAZN Ultimate, you will get every single major boxing show except for, of course, Zuffa, which you can watch on either Paramount or Netflix. The beauty is amazing. I've already said it 5 times in the first 30 minutes of the show. I'm going to say it again with a smile on my face and love in my heart. Shit is awesome. Anywho, before I get to Zuffa 9 and we get you on out of here, what are your thoughts on this next PBC show? USA versus Australia. Spence Jr. versus Tszyu.
This is going to be fun, man. Obviously, this is probably the biggest fight besides Hamza's and AJ, obviously, right? I mean, this is a huge fight because it answers one question: does Errol Spence still have elite level boxing left? And especially a guy in Tszyu, man. Obviously, this is going to be really fun. And my keys for Errol Spence, I'm going to keep it kind of short here. I'm not going to go through all of them. So obviously, the first one, you got to bring the pressure. Errol Spence has to bring the pressure because Prime Spence was body punching, volume, and he broke fighters mentally. He cannot fight a cautious fighter, especially against a guy like Tim Tszyu. And you can't stand in front of him either. And as for Tszyu, man, you got to make Spence fight backwards. That's the biggest one. That's the biggest one because Tszyu is extremely dangerous when he gets momentum. Obviously, we've seen that in the past with him. And my other one, you got, like I said with AJ, man, you got to attack the body, especially against an older fighter in Errol Spence. You have to make Errol Spence carry the weight of every round. And this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm watching. This is legacy versus opportunity. For Spence, can he still be elite? We'll see. And as for Tszyu, can he beat a former pound-for-pound fighter? And obviously, Jermall Charlo, this is another comeback fight. This is Charlo's biggest opponent. Has been, we can obviously argue Charlo's biggest opponent hasn't been anybody he's faced in the ring. It's been inactivity. Here's the keys that I have. You got to stay active. Talent is still there, but obviously we know talent fades when you do not use it. And please use the jab. The jab, Charlo's jab is probably one of his best weapons in boxing. So, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. You have to win. You have to win this fight, man. Especially both. Charlo has to win this, man, because if he doesn't, then he's gonna fall off a cliff, bro.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a while since we've seen him, and yeah, I think he gets the win here. I really do. So yeah, we got 2 pay-per-view level, right? They technically are pay-per-views, but you don't have to pay for each of them if you just have DAZN Ultimate, which I highly recommend at this point. That's what you need. All you need to be a boxing fan is DAZN Ultimate. You got 2 DAZN Ultimate level pay-per-view shows happening on the same day, Saturday, July 25th. And then on July 26th, you actually have Zuffa Boxing 9, 24 hours later. So it's going to be a big weekend of boxing. You got a 3-fight main card here for Zuffa 9. It's going to be Zuffa's first time in New York. And in the main event, they actually have Edgar Berlanga taking on Steven Butler in a super middleweight bout. And then that co-main is actually something I'm a little bit more excited for, and that's Richardson Hitchens taking on Ricardo Salas in a 12-round welterweight bout. And then, of course, the opening bout will be Jaleel Hackett versus Sergey Derevinchenko. I hope I said that right. So I'm very excited, man. I'm very excited for this weekend that we'll have 3 big boxing shows. Zuffa 9, Spence versus Tszyu, and then, of course, the comeback of Anthony Joshua.
What a time to be alive, man. Obviously, we've said it before. What a time to be a boxing fan, dude. Like, we're doing really well, man. If we really think about it. Obviously, let's kind of like take a few seconds to really reflect here, man. Like, everything we've talked about, dude, like, it's amazing to be a fight fan. Don't you agree? Like,
Yeah.
especially a boxing fan, like with the DAZN stuff, with the cards we're getting, like this is just amazing, man.
Yeah. It 1,000% is, dude. I've been very happy with what we're getting. And yeah, man, the simplification of the situation has been fantastic. Everybody's at the zone, and Zuffa Boxing is the new kid on the block. Zuffa
Yep.
Boxing versus the world of boxing. The
But
world
Zuffa,
of boxing versus Zuffa Boxing.
but I'd argue Zuffa is definitely making some good moves. Obviously, like we said, Shakur.
Yeah, it doesn't I'm not really like, my allegiance is not to either. My
No, of course not.
allegiance is to boxing.
Yeah, of
My
course.
allegiance is to both of them and none of them at the same time.
Right.
Like, this is an excellent retainer that ensures that we will get the best possible fights, whether they're on Zuffa, whether they're on Netflix, whether they're on DAZN. I could freaking care less.
Of course, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
To
Best thing.
me, it's Zuffa's got what they got going on, DAZN's got what they got going on, and a couple times a year we will have a Netflix collaborative crossover between the two. That's the simplest way I see it, and I just want to make it very simple.
Yeah, for
Now
sure.
we can enjoy the boxing, anticipate upcoming fights, and expect the best. Something we haven't been able to do for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's the good thing about like being an open-minded boxing fan, like we are. Like we're open to all these different promotions. We don't have an allegiance. We really don't. And I'm just very excited to see what happens next, man. I'm excited to see what the results are. What obviously the fights are going to be incredible, and obviously what the news is going to bring too. I mean, we'll really see what happens. It's been an insane 6 months, really, man. Especially since we started this project in January, like the resurgence and the renaissance has been insane.
Yes,
Yep.
it has. Yes, it has been. It's happened in less than 6 months. Zuffa Boxing 1 happened, I think it was January 23rd or something. Here we are. It's not even July 23rd. And we have the current state of boxing under one roof, the zone, and we have Zuffa, more powerful than ever in their young history, getting Shakur Stevenson. They're not going to get a signing bigger than that for a long time. They really aren't. So, yeah, man, I will let you sign us off if you are ready to, man. I think we have hit it.
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah, how do I do this again? It's been a while, so
I got you, bro. I got you. I'll get you started.
yeah, man.
Rest in peace to the big homie Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, we also I got one more, man. I gotta really quickly, obviously, give a shout out to my grandma, Miss Celeste Espinosa de Luna, one of my biggest fans. So rest in peace. Yeah. Obviously, I want to give a shout out to my brother, the best host in the world, man. Best host in the fucking world out here, man. Matt Cervantes, aka Wrestling is Bullshit. This dude's the fucking man, bro. This is the guy that held it down for you guys when I was away. So I want to give a real big shout out to him, man. He's my boy. He's my homie for life. Obviously, I want to give a shout out to my family. Hi, Mom. Obviously, I want to also shout out San Antonio, man. 210 represent. Yeah, man. My name is Ant, aka Heel Synergy, aka Boxing is Bullshit, aka whatever. This has been the Lights Out podcast, and we are officially out of here. For myself and Mr. Wrestling's Bullshit, we are officially out of here. Boom! Woo! Let's go!
Good to have you back, man. We will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you, man.
Good to have you back.
Take care.